Welcome back, Tribe. I have an episode here from Chris Williamson. Why is supporting men seen as a threat to women?
Look out at the internet today and you see this huge swell within men's work, within the manosphere, within Red Pill, certain figures that are online that have just had a meteoric rise. In many ways, it's because they're speaking to the sort of cultural underpinnings of what men are experiencing. We're living through one of the first times, in my opinion, in almost all of history, all of known history, where masculinity isn't getting defined by men, right? Culturally, if you look at what makes a good man and what makes a man masculine, there's sort of this battle for being able to define it. And I think it was Yuval Harari in Sapiens, maybe it was Homo Deus, where he talks about how in the future, the wars will be fought within intersubjective reality, within the reality of story, within the reality of narrative. And I think that that's where a lot of the quote unquote gender wars are happening right now. It's within the realm of story and within the realm of narrative. And so anyway, that's a little existential, but to pull it back down to reality, I think you're right. There's this very big challenge that a lot of men feel, which is they're being told specifically by a lot of women to open up, by society, by Instagram, by Facebook. It's like, open up, be more vulnerable. And then there's a bit of a mixed bag when they do it, or they don't feel like they have the proper resources to go and do it, right? They're not sure what's going to happen if they open up and say, hey man, like, listen, I'm really struggling. Like, I'm struggling to get out of bed. I freaking hate my job. I'm barely getting by. I don't know how to support myself. I'm really struggling. What should I do? Or, what have you done? And so I think that that's the inflection point that a lot of men find themselves at. And the challenge is that when we talk about some of the issues that men are going through, because statistically speaking, in a lot of ways, men are in decline, right? In decline in the workforce. They're not going to college as much. I mean, it's all stuff that you've talked about on your show before.
Lifespan, health span.
Lifespan, health span. They're living at home longer. They don't have as much money. They're not buying properties as much. They're not graduating from college. I mean, it's just like across the board. Testosterone's down. It's like, there's some big things that we as a culture and as a society should be talking about.
But we won't. And the truth is, we probably will not for generations to come. Think of it like this, man. The new block of spenders are women. Women are now catered to in politics, in culture, in business. Everywhere you look, this is why we call it the gynocracy. Women are out-earning men. It's true. More women are out-earning men on average by a large margin, and they're more likely to be homeowners, and they're more likely to move up in companies. And because they're the new majority spenders, they have say now. They have a huge amount of influence and sway in society. Corporations, if you don't believe so, look at how every movie we make now has to be through just look at the movies that are being produced, how they're heroine-centric, femme-centric movies, femme-centric storylines. It's now par for course on Hollywood. So society has done a really good job of bringing women up, but unfortunately, it's at the cost of bringing men down.
But what I've noticed is that when we want to talk about men's problems, if we want to talk about men improving themselves, everybody's for that. Thumbs up, green lit across the board. If we want to talk about the issues that men are having, that's a very different challenge. And what men are usually met with is the solution of be more vulnerable. It's like, oh, you hate your life because your wife just divorced you and left you and took the kids and half of your net worth. Just be more vulnerable. Just open up and talk about it, and that'll solve it. And it's like, well, but what about the judicial system? What about talking about some of the things that are actually, sort of infringing and impinging on men's lives? And so I think some of these things are, I think that they're coming to a head in a lot of ways.
I had a post that I put up on Twitter that I got a lot of shit for, so I'm going to say it again. Publicly trying to work out why men are struggling is largely a thankless task. This is the zero-sum view of empathy. There is an assumption that any attention paid toward men takes it away from women or some other minority group who is more deserving. After all, haven't men had it good enough for long enough? Maybe they should just suck it up for a while. But empathy does not work this way. It's not a limited resource. Recognizing the plights of men does not ignore the plights of women. And ultimately, women end up suffering in any case, as it's this increasing cohort of apathetic, checked out, and resentful men who contribute to the exact lack of eligible partners that women say they're struggling with. Women who post boo-hoo, poor patriarchy sad, whilst also complaining about where are all the good men at, are committing mating logic seppuku. If one sex loses, both sexes lose. Male blame is something else that I see a lot, and this is what triggered what you just said. A common question is, why don't men just do better? Surely they can work harder in school, employment, and health. Chop, chop, men, hurry up and stop being so useless. Well, no other group is told that when they suffer with poor performance or accolades in the real world, that they should just pull themselves up by their bootstraps. We don't tell any other group to talk about their problems. Instead, we spend billions in taxpayer money and private charity to set up committees, departments, campaigns, and funds to solve the problem. In simple terms, if a woman has a problem, we ask, what can we do to fix society? If a man has a problem, we ask, what can men do to fix themselves?
You nailed it.
Yeah. Double standards. They'll exist till the end of time. We're a dimorphic species. Men and women are different. No matter how much they try to tell you that we're all the same, we're not. And society will always view men and women separately in this manner. Nobody is coming to save you as a man. Nobody has empathy for your problems as a man. Only some men can have empathy for your issues. The rest sympathize on a superficial level if they're within your immediate vicinity and they benefit from your presence, i.e., like your wife. She will sympathize with you personally because it is in her best interest to. But your wife doesn't sympathize with all the other men that are struggling just the same. They can't really. It's just not in their nature. Weak men naturally, biologically need to be extinguished from society. This is hardwired in a woman's DNA to be disgusted at feminine men, to be disgusted by men who cry, to be disgusted by men who are emotional. No matter what the mainstream woke narrative tells you about, you got to be more in touch with your feelings. It will always backfire because women's natural predisposition to find emotional men disgusting. I don't make the rules. This is how we advanced as a society. The strong survive. Now, what we men have forgotten and what some of us in this sphere are parroting is what our forefathers were talking about. Stoicism, emotional management for men only, because men have a unique take on managing emotions like aggression, anger, sadness. That's far different from the experience of a woman. Yet society is trying to make you manage those emotions the way women do. See, we're all taught under the same umbrella. You see it happening in schools today. We're taught in a gynocentric manner that's beneficial to girls, but not beneficial to boys who learn more with their hands. We need to be out there walking, exploring, feeling, touching, taking apart, putting back together. This is how boys learn the natural inquisitiveness of things, as opposed to women that could sit there and be lectured for hours on end, and talking and faces is what draws them more. It's just the natural differences. Unfortunately, we don't make this distinction anymore. So we're blending male and female together, and we're getting essentially the society you see today that's so disconnected that each gender is dealing with anxiety and depression and feeling like they don't belong and not in touch with themselves and living a false reality, a lie, because society told them to be one way. You girl queen, you go boss babe, strong, independent, don't need no man, don't depend on anybody, I don't want no kid, blah, blah, blah. And that's the complete opposite of what fulfills a woman deep down inside. She wants to be part of a large tribe. She wants to have children. She wants a man to help look after her, to create a legacy, to be a homemaker, to take care and nurture. It's natural, just like a man wants to protect and provide and be respected and looked up to. But society doesn't care about any of these. It's just about how do we extract the maximum amount of profit, money out of people. Well, we got to make them lose their identity. Then we got to make them depressed and anxious. Then we got to get them angry at each other. Then we have to add all these other layers of complexities that society's adding. So all the little boxes we're constantly being put into is just further dividing us so that the people at the top that are producing products in society today in our capitalist structure that we've set up, that they can make a boatload of money off our, quote, misery, because only miserable people partake in this system. because it's a dopamine rush to buy something, to consume something, to watch a show, to buy a bag, to get in the expensive car. That's a cope. None of these are needs. They're just all wants. What we need is human connection. What we need is togetherness. What we need is a legacy to watch our little ones grow up around us. We need strong communities. We need to have people in neighborhoods that we're constantly mingling together and watching our kids play together with all the other kids in the neighborhood and have barbecues and neighborhood parties, and where the people in the community run the community at a local level. That is dead, man. That almost sounds foreign to even speak about, because that's exactly what would reverse all the shit that's going on in society today. So that's the last thing that they'll allow you to talk about. Instead, here's the new iPhone, pleb. Oh, wait a second. Here's the new PC. Here's the new video game. Here's the latest adult entertainment. Oh my God, scroll through this reel. Hijacked your brain, your attention, your thoughts. Consume, 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 slave. And life will pass you by, and you're going to wake up 15 years later, 20 years later, 30 years. Oh my God, I hit retirement. All I've done is scroll TikTok and Instagram my whole life and been constantly propagandized by the news and the internet, and I have nothing to show for it. All I did was buy trinkets the entire time to soothe my anxiety and cope. Never traveled the world, never experienced different cultures, different people, never made friends outside the neighborhood, never set foot out the house. And that's what they want, to keep you trapped under their thumb, constantly consuming their products. And then they got the game down locked so tight that they'll convince you that you're doing it as your choice. I play video games because I want to, not knowing that you were propagandized and drip fed this dopamine from childhood because your parents couldn't be bothered to actually parent you. So they stuck a screen in your face to numb you from their job of parenting. So now you developed a coping mechanism where you turn to video games or adult entertainment or drugs or whatever else it is that you, quote, consume to run away or to soothe yourself from some deeper seated issue that you don't even have time to find out what it is because you're constantly distracted. Ding, there goes the fucking phone again. Oh, couldn't even have your own original thought because ding, there goes another notification. Oh my God, an email just popped up. Oh, I just got a text message with a friend. Oh, Netflix notified me a new season is out. It's never ending. When is the last time you sat there and had a conversation with yourself about what you wanted out of life? Really? Who are you as a person? What do you want to be remembered for? What legacy would you like to build and leave humanity with? When's the last time you had this conversation? Probably never for most of you. Highly unlikely some of you have even had the last 7 days, 1 month, hell, year, just to sit down for 1 second and contemplate these questions. We're getting bombarded with shit information. It's never ending. It's all propaganda. It's all fake news. It's all scaremongering, all designed to keep you exactly where you are. A slave. Life, the most important parts of life is experiences, people, and memories. Yet we're taught by society to value the things that are most valueless, that are most worthless. Material possessions, hedonism, and feel-good chemicals now. Is it ever a wonder why we ended up where we did today? Come on, man. I don't even know if I should play the rest of this video because what more can they possibly say that we haven't already said? I mean, just breaking down society as it's breaking down itself in front of our very eyes. Well, let's just see what some of the comments say. They tell men do what's right. They tell women do what's right for you, girl. Massive lesson there. It's a bully tactic. The world needs a massive worldwide men's movement. And it's not going to happen because this is a Western issue. Men are fine everywhere else in the rest of the world. Men are appreciated and accepted. It's only in the system that we live in the West where this isn't a real problem. And yeah, we can close it out with this. Men have problems, women most affected. It is what it is. Hey everyone, if you have a minute, please head over to legionofmen.store and grab yourself some cool merch as well. We have a bunch of limited edition designs, brand new stuff on the way, and all the proceeds go to supporting the channel. We don't want to be sponsored by corporations where we have to submit videos for review, have our speech impeded, or push any products that we don't use. So thank you so much to everybody that goes into the shop. Again, it's legionofmen.store. I'll put it up here for you guys. First time customers get a 10% off, and we have a bunch of great designs by artists from the community that watch the channel and support. They get proceeds as well, a percentage of everything that gets sold. So community funded through and through. Again, appreciate you guys.